Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So initially I was planning on making one single longer video where I go over this entire situation about how Scarlet Witch is right now after her nerf, whether I think the nerf was necessary, whether I think what Kabam did is reasonable and appropriate, how is she looking like after the fixes, after the changes, and also then carry on with what I believe Kabam should do in terms of, somehow reimbursing or sucking up back to players, because clearly there is a huge outrage, and exactly what kind of efforts and messaging Kabam is putting across now on the forum side and what they are doing on that front. That being said, that definitely would have taken me a bit too long. So let's, again, rewind a bit here and start from the get-go. Do I think that the nerf was absolutely necessary? No. Because in my previous video, I kind of explained that in order to be able to achieve those crazy good results, first of all, you need to get very, very lucky, which will not always happen. Second of all, you need to dedicate an entire team for that. And more particularly, a team of 5 champions. Therefore, by definition, it wouldn't necessarily be particularly plausible in Alliance War and Alliance Quest, Eternity of Pain, Irrelevant, and Battlegrounds. And at the best of cases, this would only function in specific sets of like HAB-EQ or Act 6, Act 7. Therefore, I don't think that the game balance was at any point in any danger whatsoever. At the same time, I also think that from a practical point of view, and realistically, for instance, Agent Venom with Scorpion and Kraven is more powerful than Scarlet Witch was pre-nerf, because there the damage is constant, it's not RNG reliant. You're not reliant on your ability to gain buffs unimpeded or throw off your special attacks like nobody's business. And you just get more advantages, and it's easier to set up that team because it's like 3 people. Technically, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver can do some interesting things as well, but without an extra additional ability accuracy or crit rate, you wouldn't be getting much in terms of results anyways. So I genuinely think that, for instance, Agent Venom is more powerful synergy setup with Kraven and Scorpion than Scarlet Witch was pre-nerf. This is, by the way, the biggest special attack I think that I got off with the nerf Scarlet Witch, 352, and that was quite a lucky coincidence there. We can see that for the rest of the fights, actually, they look quite atrocious. First 2 fights were quite fine, and I was actually quite optimistic about this run of Scarlet Witch, but then it just went from bad to worse. Anyways, so ultimately, I don't think that the Scarlet Witch had to be nerfed. But I kind of knew that Kabam will, because Kabam's always extremely allergic to any big single yellow number without addressing and looking at, the issues surrounding it, the setups, the luck required, the difficulty to pull it off, everything else. At the same time, I do think 3 is too harsh. I don't think 3 promises, are enough, and I'm saying that in a sense that after having played with Scarlet Witch with max promise cap at 3, I don't really want to do it ever again. Like, I'm not ever going to use 5-star Scarlet Witch now. I would have potentially used Scarlet Witch here and there, because, it was super fun trying to see what kind of damage you can put out and things like that. Now after having had time to mess around a bit with this 300% special attack increase Scarlet Witch, it's nothing special. It's definitely, absolutely 100% not worth setting up a synergy team around what we have now right here. So realistically, this potentially the gameplay that you see here is going to be one of the last times I actually use Scarlet Witch. I'm probably, maybe for fun, I'll bring her in some KVQ, but probably not. There are much better options with, less effort, less luck required. So they took something that could have been situationally relevant and useful and broken, OP, and they made it just, again, to a point where it's gonna slide into obscurity, in my opinion, and, I don't believe anybody's really gonna end up using Scarlet Witch for anything important. Because why would you? Why would you dedicate the entire setup for one champion that's super RNG reliant, and even in the best of case, we have champions that just do more damage. Right now, Scarlet Witch, if we are being super honest, with her lack of immunities, reliance on debuffs and buffs, is kind of similar to Symbiote Spidey with Red Goblin synergy, where you heavy a ton, get a ton of armor breaks, and get a ton of furies and drop a massive level 2. That's it. Does anybody really use Symbiote Spidey for much of the stuff? Nah, not really. So yeah, I mean, it is slightly better, but it's also significantly more RNG reliant, so there we go. So right now, I pretty much have zero interest in Scarlet Witch after this. You guys are gonna see these special attacks. I mean, in previous gameplay, I did have Liquid Courage Double Edge active, and now I don't. But even that, like, just looking at these numbers that she's putting up, I threw like 2 good special attacks in this entire run, maybe 3, and the rest of them are just kind of like, 34k non-crit. I didn't have any buffs yet either way, though. Again, that's just kind of like shows the relevance to RNG. So I have 3 prowesses. Again, there's just like nothing really happening here. You can shoot off a good special attack if you get, you know, 3 prowesses and 3 furies or so, but that's quite rare. Without that, just having 3 prowesses active, nothing special, nothing significant is going to happen. So ultimately, I do think, you know, I wish Kabam was more reasonable than they are. And at the very least, bring that cap back up to like 5 or so. I don't think, you know, there's going to be any major harm done to the game if she had 5 prowesses instead of 3, but the numbers could look significantly more decent. And now, we do need to talk about player outrage. I'm going to touch on that much more in the next video that I'm about to make, because this video, again, I wanted to showcase how Scarlet Witch is after the changes and what I personally think about her. But at the same time, there are huge requests for refunds. I have seen, you know, some prominent people requesting refunds through Apple or Google Pay. And that, you can basically kind of forget about it. If once Kabam gets your money, you're not getting it back if you want to keep playing this game. If you do request a refund, you can get your money back, but Kabam is going to put you in negative units for doing so. And, well, eventually, you're going to have to pay it off, as in, like, purchase those negative unit bundles, or you're just never going to be able to use a single unit again for as long as you play the game. That means never being able to change your mastery setups, never use any of your grinded units, and so on and so forth. So, requesting refund, obviously, you know, seems kind of counterproductive if you still wish to carry on playing this game in any meaningful capacity. At the same time, there is no way in hell, like, the hell is going to freeze over before Kabam actually issues monetary refunds. They have never done that, not once in the history of the game, and I don't expect them to change that, especially since they have already quoted their right to modify, which they do have. However, again, much of this, considering the fact that it is a product that got sold and then immediately altered, do scream bait and switch and predatory monetary policies. So if there would be somebody who actually does some litigation against Kabam in regards of this situation or some others, I do believe that they would have a case to build. However, I doubt that anything's going to come out of it in that way. I think in this case, the best thing anybody can really hope for is some sort of extra weird sorry crystals from Kabam. Some sort of, but I think that even that is relatively questionable. I think more than likely Kabam is not going to do anything in this situation because the champion that they were selling directly was not altered. It's just one of his synergies, even though there could have been people, and there are people who purchased the early access bundles just for the sake of synergies. And yeah, I kind of doubt that Kabam is going to go out of their way to reimburse or compensate people. Definitely not monetary, but also not by in-game items or things like that. Okay, all of that being said, I do think it's kind of predictable yet silly situation. Another thing that obviously is extremely irksome is the existence of all the rest of the issues in the game and the time frame that takes to fix, opposed to the time frame Kabam fixed this thing. It literally took them hours after the initial announcement that it is going to be changed. They posted that it's going to be changed in coming days, but it was changed within like 3 hours whilst I was asleep. So it again just once again reimburses the player's belief, reinforces the player's belief that Kabam will always act much quicker with much bigger urgency in situations where they are on the losing end or on the end that is, you know, not benefiting from it. If players are suffering due to one of their bugs, we'll get to it when we get to it, if we get to it. If they are missing out on something, they're going to get their job done quickly. And again, obviously, this situation yet again proves kind of like, well, besides their incompetence, also their double standard in making shit up as they go. Because, you know, the entire justification about fixing Mole Man, quote-unquote, bug in the sense is what... even though it has been in the game for X amount of time and nothing devastating has happened to game balance, where Mole Man wasn't even like the best skill champion in the game, let alone like, you know, top champion of the game, you know, they used the fact that his ability description is different to modify him to how he is meant to be. And now obviously they are releasing new interaction and they're modifying the description. And, you know, this is not the first case, and this is not even necessarily the most specific case. There have been more concrete examples with Domino, where Domino apparently was bugged since she was released for about a year in the game. And when the bug got fixed, Kabam simply stated then she would be too powerful. And then they just changed Domino's ability description. So they have always been extremely, well, easygoing, undisciplined, with no principles in situations like this. So I don't think that surprises many of you. So either way, as I said, I don't think that necessarily the alteration of the synergy was something that should have been a must or an urgent issue. I think the game would have been perfectly fine if this kept existing in the game. It would just be one of those things that, you know, players are aware of, and if we can benefit from this entire team setup occasionally, we would have, but it wouldn't be like everyday type of thing. At the same time, I would even be much more open to them adjusting the synergy if they had left it at like 5 promises or so, and also had proper messaging surrounding it, where they are genuinely apologetic, where they do realize that they fucked up. This is 100% on them, not on players. And if, you know, they actually came across sincere, which is the exact reason why I'm going to be making my second video, because the amount of bullshit some specific Kabam employees have been trying to gaslight the players with and just flat out lie to the players, to be honest, is absolutely intolerable. Yet again, reinforces me with the belief that a particular employee that has a lot of interactions with the player base should never be allowed to interact with any of the players ever again in any meaningful capacity. We're going to cover that in the next video. So, let me know what you guys think about the current status of Scarlet Witch, whether you're going to be playing with her, what do you think about this entire situation in general, but also stay tuned for the next video. I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the